Thank you very much, Marlene, for that introduction. And I want to tell you how excited I am to be back here, particularly in addition to the people that I met the last time, it was one of my early book club meetings. It was wonderful then, and it was particularly good because of this setting. I remember this very clearly with all the clear windows, and you're together, but you don't feel like you're closed in. I thought that was really neat. And the other thing is that this room was, last time I remember, I'd probably done, I don't know, 40 or 50 of these meetings since that time. But this one I remember because I could hear everybody in the room. And that's really important to me because I'm deaf as a hornet. And it really will help me if when you ask questions and have comments, which I hope you will do, and I invite you to do, because that's where we can really get into those of you that, has anybody read the collectibles in this room? Has anyone read the concealers yet? Oh, well, great, then I won't spoil anything. We really get into a discussion. But I ask you that, and mention that because as you talk to me and ask questions, please be sure to do what you can to project your voice so that I'll be able to hear you, and every word you say is important to me. So I'd like very much to have you do that, if you will, and make sure that I can hear you well. Yes, ma'am.
I wear hearing aids, and you're welcome to use one of them if you want.
That's a great example. I didn't hear a word of that. So, thank you for illustrating my point. Now ask me that again, would you?
I wear hearing aids, and you're more than welcome to borrow one.
Actually, I'm wearing a hearing aid in each ear. You just would never know it. I didn't know that I had a hearing problem until I was in law school. I went through high school, and in those days, a long time ago, in those days they had very few hearing tests. They only had one that I can remember in grade school, and they asked you to write the numbers in the third column, and then now write the numbers in the fourth column. And I looked around, and all my classmates were writing, and I wasn't, so I started writing. And that was the last hearing test I ever had, unfortunately. So I went to a hearing doctor for the first time in my life, Dr. Hupel in Syracuse, New York, and my mom went with me, and he examined me and then said to my mother, I stopped talking to me. One of the things that happens when you don't hear is they just, well, forget him. Just go over here, talk to this person. So he said to my mother, well, your son is profoundly deaf, and he might as well just forget about law school and try to get a job in the government. In those days, job in the government in those days was like, well, if you don't want to work hard, it's not terribly different. In any event, that was the first crisis I ever faced in my life, and I'd never had anything go really wrong. Quite the opposite. And college was dynamite, and I did all the things I wanted to do, and I loved the subjects I was in, and I loved the fraternity system in those days, and I mean, it was just all good. And here I was, and I liked law, and I liked law school, and I was having a problem hearing. So anyway, he fitted me to bilateral hearing aids. In those days, they're big, thick things with batteries that big, wires down, implants in the ears, and you could hear the janitor on the third floor, but you couldn't hear the guy next to you. So not really good acoustically. But anyway, I wore those, and I went to got into another law school, and thankfully, and they wanted me there. And so my law school career went really well after that, and in fact, I won all the moot court competitions locally, and so then I was able to compete in the national competitions. And I was proud of that. And so finally we had the final moot court competition. And Judge Francis Bergen, this was in New York State, Judge Francis Bergen, do you mind if I take this off? I'm sitting in front of a fire, standing in front of a fireplace here, warm, comfortable. Judge Bergen was the presiding justice of the New York Court of Appeals. In New York, that's the highest court. It's not called a Supreme Court. And he was the actual judge with two other judges in this moot court competition. We were competing against top schools, and I think the final argument was between myself and our team and a team from Columbia Law School. And they went first, and then the final argument was up to me. And I stood up to the podium, and I had 50 those cards, you know, little cards you write all the case stuff on. I had 50 of those, and I stood up, and I was just about to say, "May it please the court," and I heard this little thing in my radio ear go, zip, and the battery went dead. And then I just instinctively put my left hand up, and it went zip, and it went dead. And then I knocked all the cards off my podium, and there were 50 cards all over the floor. And I thought, well, this is just a great start. And so I decided I couldn't bend down and try to pick up all these cards with the judges all just waiting. And I decided I can't hear, so the best thing I could do is just say, "I'm glad to be here." So I said, "May it please the court." And I went on with the argument. And about midway, as appellate courts are wont to do, they interrupt the lawyer and they ask very incisive questions, kind of like yours. "Can you hear? Do you need my hearing aids?" And so the judge asked me this question, and I didn't hear a word he said. To me, it was like, and I said, well, I answered the question I thought he should have asked me. So I answered that question, and then he went on, and then 2 or 3, I continued with my argument, and I had remembered the cases, so I didn't worry about that part. And I was really into it. But then another judge asked me a question. I could hear him saying something, so again, I answered the question I thought he should have asked. When we finally finished, and we ended the argument, and I went back and sat down, and my team, the dean of our law school, was sitting next to me, and then all these other people. My mom was in the back of the room before I got married. And I thought I just completely ruined everything for my law school. And so we went to the awards dinner that night, and I sat in the back of the room, and the judge got up, and the presiding justice got up on the stage, and he went through all the ceremony, and then he said, "Now I want to present the America's Silver Cup, the American Trial Lawyers Silver Cup, to the best oral argument." And he announced the winner, and the dean kept poking me and said, go up there. And I said, "It's not funny. It's not funny. You are the one." I said, "Stop it." He said, "Jim, go on the stage." So I said, I couldn't believe him. So I go up there, and Judge Bergen shakes my hand, and I'm in front of all these people, and he said, "This young man is just going to be some lawyer. I've had a lot of experience with appellate arguments, but this young man, when he answered the questions, it was as if he just ignored mine and wanted to go on with what he thought he should do." And I'm saying to myself, I'll be a good lawyer. I'm a fraud, you know? What am I doing here? So that's how I started my career.